One more mic to turn off. Hello!
Just making sure that you turned on another mic after that.
Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. No, wait a minute.
No, we're good. We're
Okay,
good.
alright.
No, we're good.
I turned the music off before I turned the mics on. Oh, what a mess. I need a
No, it was
one
good. It-
I need a one button situation, and I know that there is a way to do it. It just involves a little bit more effort than
I gotta say, your bangs are looking real cute today.
Yeah, they looked like really crazy yesterday. I've kind of got a little thing here. But yeah, like when I wash them, they, usually on day 2 they look okay. And it's like once a wash cycle they look cute.
I thought you were gonna say something like, "Oh, I just cut them today," or "I just did something," or whatever. Or we got peeps. We've got Robin,
Hi
hello
guys.
girlfriend, and LJ, hey dear,
Hello.
and Janet. It's overcast and 65. Waiting for the electrician. Newly painted walls, new light fixtures, and living room. My goodness, you've got really exciting things going
Yeah,
on.
we are so living vicariously through Janet.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it is a day of exciting things. The reason we've got a mini edition today is because I am leaving to go to Nantucket just for the day. I'm gonna go stay down on Hyannis for the night because we're getting like the butt crack of dawn ferry to Nantucket, 8:15. And we're going to go see the Beyond Seams exhibit. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up at the Whaling Museum. Let's see here. Nantucket. So I gotta leave to get down there. But I didn't want to cancel the stitching glitch. So I was just like, well, we can do at least an hour, like
Mini edition.
um yeah, like I really wanted to at least say hi because I mean I've mentioned this before, but like my soul needs these days.
Yeah, I
These,
get it.
like this low key hanging with your friends. All right, are we seeing this okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so there, and apparently I can show you something else. There's all kinds of these like really historic buildings in this. This is like this little like downtown area. And let's see. Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Look at the things they have.
So yeah, you
Love
can see
that.
those.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
clothing and textiles on Nantucket, and
That,
so
yeah,
let's
again,
see.
something wonderful that I would love that I'm gonna miss.
So, organized by the Nantucket Historical Association, the exhibition Behind the Scenes, Clothing and Textiles on Nantucket presents more than 150 objects from their costume and textile collections to tell stories of making, meaning, and island identity from across Nantucket history. Behind the Scenes features clothing, accessories, household textiles, and tools for sewing and textile production from their 2,000 piece costume and textile collections. Jesus. Rarely seen objects drawn from more than 2 centuries of clothing and textiles on Nantucket demonstrates the skill and artistry of island makers and reveal the stories that clothing and textiles can tell. And over
Very
here,
cool.
we have a child's top and a romper, hand painted Nantucket motifs, 1975. That's so cute.
Yeah, I would guess that
Um,
probably from the 70s onward is, or maybe even earlier than that, is when Nantucket kind of became like a fancy schmancy sort of tourist destination, right? But it's got this really,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I've actually never been there, but like that whole,
Me either.
capey part of Massachusetts, I feel like, you've got some money out there.
Yeah,
um,
I can tell you Nantucket is this even though so this is a last minute trip. This was not part of the quote New England Quilt Study Group's um calendar of events for the year. This we found out about this exhibit last minute, and then I had just kind of put out like, hey, we might not be able to do anything special for like an official visit, but does anyone just want to go with a group of friends during the off seasons? Okay, we're in the off season
Yeah.
now.
And
And
I would
people are
imagine
like,
that's a
yeah.
good time to get out there because you don't have as many crowds, right?
Yeah, so people are like, oh, sure. So we did talk to them about like maybe having something extra, and we weren't able to do that. We are having like a gallery tour, but Nantucket in and of itself is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
Like I had looked at overnight lodging just because like many of us, you know, to like get up and drive down there to the ferry. It's like it just like staying overnight, at least one night. I mean, Joanna's coming from all, you know, Maine. She's got a multi-hour drive. You know, people need to stay at least one night. The lodgings
I don't
were
even
like
want to know.
like $700 a night. I was just like, uh, so even the ferry to no car to go round trip for two people, because Sunday's coming with me, was $180.
I could take a train all the way there to you from Baltimore. Baltimore to Massachusetts for like, well, I guess half that. So like one ticket. So, okay. And how far does this ferry go? Like it probably goes like a mile offshore or something.
No, it's an hour. It's an hour.
Oh, okay.
But
well, still, ferries
so,
don't go fast. So it's still the distance is probably not that far. Right?
well, it's weird because like I would expect that if you were bringing a car. I'm not even bringing a bike. I'm just a human. And then in comparison, when we went to Block Island, round trip the same day for one person was $44. And Block Island is still very expensive
that's
too,
still
not...
pricey considering my experience with public transportation. It's like
it's pricey, but it's still,
they're trying to keep the riffraff off the island.
It's still more reasonable because like this like Nantucket is $44 per person round trip, where Block Island was 22 per person round trip. Well, each way, so 44 round trip.
They're trying to keep the likes of me off that island.
Well, and not to mention too, so like once I get there too, like I have to pay for parking. The admission to this museum is $25 a person.
Wow, that's the same price too. That's the Shelburne price, isn't it? Shelburne's like 25 or 27, and that gets you 2 days of admission.
Yeah, and you're on a like a multi-100-acre thing. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Now I will say one thing that's cool is they have free public transit there. They have what looks like those kind of open air trolley type things. So one thing I'm hoping to do is just to get on that if I can and just ride it one circle around.
Yeah, to see what it looks like around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow. I mean, it sounds fantastic, but that is some prohibitive pricing to get there and just to.
Yes. I didn't even really, well, not to mention like, you know, staying overnight in Hyannis is cheaper.
It's cheaper to stay in Hyannis.
Yeah,
the Kennedy compound.
It's cheaper, but it's still not cheap. And again, it also blew my mind because we're off season.
Yeah.
Like I would expect this kind of pricing at the height.
Right.
But also, let me show you. I'm just trying to.
Well, you know, I could kind of expect to some degree for any kind of accommodations out there to be pricey because there's not as many. Like you go to Boston and you could stay anywhere, everywhere, but there's probably not as many places to stay on an island. So, but still, yeah, like, better you than me. I gotta pay my mortgage, man. I can't afford to go to Hyannis or Nantucket.
Well, I mean, the one thing I can say is that, like, I will take. Okay, let me share again.
All that whaling money.
Photos, yeah. Okay, so I had made this little PDF for people that were going, but this gives you an idea of some other things. So apparently, there's all these kinds of like little like walking tours on their like official like government website, and it brings you, so like we're gonna come in right here, Steamship Authority, and then like we can just log, and there's the museum right there.
Oh, nice. So it's a short little jaunt.
Yeah, and then like and you're seeing all these streets, but like they're this long. So there's all these other historic
Oh yeah, so there's a
places
Quaker meeting
here.
house, a
Old
research
buildings.
library. That's cool.
Here's an old
Yeah.
mill.
Yeah. So
There's all
Janet
these
says
different things.
Monterey doesn't have a off season anymore. Monterey Jazz Festival is this weekend. Hotels are $600 to $700 a night. Yeah. I mean, it, I've been to Monterey, so having not been out, I've only been to Massachusetts a couple times, but I mean, I see it as like they're very, very like cool destinations. People want to go there, so the tourism is what sort of informs the
Yeah,
cost
and
of.
then here's the oldest house here. Look at like these. Apparently there's a cemetery tour you can walk yourself. So all these little cemeteries.
So, how old is the
Um,
oldest house? Do we know?
I have no idea. Let's see.
And now, is it the oldest
How
house on
old?
Nantucket, or is it the oldest house in
Probably,
Massachusetts?
probably. It's probably the oldest house on Nantucket.
1686. Psh.
1686.
Tis a
No,
mere
that's old.
toddler.
That's old. That's an old house. And it's probably just the oldest one still standing.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that part of our country was settled pretty early. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you would also have like a lot of like the reason a lot I mean, we have a lot of historic buildings, like,
mhm.
but the reason that we don't have far more is just because of people tearing them down and building new things or them burning down.
Yeah.
Or, in Nantucket, there's a whole host of reasons that you could lose.
Hmm.
Um,
Didn't Boston have a great fire at some point?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like all of the wood
Remember,
buildings.
I don't remember let me hold on. Uh, oh no, wait, that's not right.
There's a little bit of like a research project is like all of the great fires in the great cities, like when did they happen and what did they destroy? you know?
The Great Boston Fire was 1872.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was probably in industrial times. Yeah, I was really surprised when I started learning about, because you always hear about like the Great Fire of Chicago and Boston and all that stuff, and some of it was warring times when they were setting fire to, armies were setting fire to stuff, and um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I was surprised when I learned, like, even when, because I guess is it New York and Chicago fires, it's not just the wood that's a problem, it's also like the wrought iron, because
Mm.
wrought iron has a lower melting point too, so you get like a big hot, like, raging fire, then like your buildings start to melt. God bless the steel industry. It keeps us from.
Yeah. So,
So
guys, what do you think of this like pillow back here? So I was like nesting, right? I was getting ready for the Zoom, like, and I get on, and Steph is already muted because she's already started, like the pre-stream. And I had another pillow behind me that's just like a regular pillow. And then like I had this one and I go and take it down, and then she's like, I was like, all right, I'll put
I
it
like
back
that
on.
pillow. It's cute. It's simple. It matches your shirt, and it's pink. So it's a good,
It
like,
is.
it's visually good for our screens here.
It is. I bought it this way. It is a recycled
It's a quilt.
vintage
Yeah, an old quilt.
Yeah, vintage quilt. And I was like, oh my God, it can't live its life in the store. It needs to live its life with me.
Yeah, that's a cute
So,
one. I like it. So Janet loves cemetery stories on the stairs. Absolutely. And my mom gave me a book, and it's upstairs on my nightstand table. I think it's like a semi self-published book, but it's a woman that does a lot of research in cemeteries, and she's looked at, I guess particularly East Coast cemeteries, because there's, again, really old ones, and she's looked at all of like the with the symbology and things on the tombstones, and
mhm.
really cool stuff.
I am my one of the like I think it was intro to archaeology classes I took when I was at UMass Boston. It was an online course, and we had to do a project. What are you going to do in an online course, right? You can't go on a dig in your online course. So, and there's a lot of laws obviously around digging. So she had us do uh like a graveyard analysis of tombstones kind of um project, where we, had to go and we had to pick like a set of tombstones close together, and analyze something about them. And what I ended up talking about was different ages of those that had died and the different kinds of ornamentation you see on the top of their tombstone. And I remember one of the significant findings I found was if there was a cherub on the top of the tombstone, which obviously, like, what kind of cherubs those look like, right? They're not what we consider to be cherubs today. They're a little more skeletal looking.
They're like the seraphim
like the
sort of angels.
Yeah,
They're
kind of.
not
Yeah,
the fat
yeah,
little pooty. Yeah, the little fat little
yeah.
babies. They're called pooty, and the other ones are
Yeah,
seraphim.
so if the tomb was of a child, they were more likely to have a cherub,
Yeah.
than an adult would.
Yeah,
Or
and
the
I know.
adult was more likely to have like a weeping willow.
Yep. Those are like that. That's like those are like the colonial imagery. I feel like that stuff was more. Well, it's more primitive looking and austere. I know around in the 1800s. Like I went to school in Richmond, Virginia, and cool old city, man. If you have never been there and you ever make it to Central Virginia, Richmond's got some great museums. The Valentine Museum, quilts, and textiles. But there is a cemetery there, Hollywood Cemetery. It was created concurrently with like Central Park in New York, and it was built as a cemetery that people they would go to stroll around. It's the grounds of it are absolutely beautiful. It is the most prime real estate in the city of Richmond. It overlooks the James River, and if the developers could bulldoze it, they would, because it's millions of dollars. But I mean, tons of famous people are buried there, from like a very famous punk rock band leader from when I was there, all the way back to the band is, they're not even really punk. The band is called Gwar, Gwar. They're kind of like a gross out hardcore band, but they're very famous in Virginia.
A gross out?
Yeah, they do things like fling. They have a thing called the crapapult that flings stuff into the audience. It was a time and a period in the 80s and 90s. You would have had to have been there. But nonetheless,
where people were like, please throw poop on me.
It wasn't necessarily actual bodily fluids or anything, but yeah, the lead singer died, and the fans got him interred there. But also, like, famous, I'm trying to remember, is there a president there? I can't even remember. Long story short, it is a absolutely beautiful cemetery, but it has a lot of history. Like, there's a grave of a child, and they have a lamb. So I think during that period, like, the lambs were kind of like, big for the children. And then there's some dogs there that are they're like I think the one that's at this like famous child's grave that people still leave like baby toys and stuff there. There's a dog that guards her grave, and there's like a whole story about this dog that was fascinating. I read it recently, so really good. Yeah, good stuff. People think Ozzy and his antics are a bit much. Yeah. Robin says, in high school history we had to read Spoon River Anthology, a story of people in their town written from the tombstones. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. I was gonna mention, as maybe we won't digress too much more into tombstones, but there is a church in Virginia called St. Luke's Historic Church. It was built in 1636, I think, 1630 something, and it's the oldest Anglican church in the United States. And my grandparents are buried beside it. It has the original like cemetery that has tombstones from the 1600s, I think, through the 1800s, late 1800s. And then over next to it is a modern cemetery. And that's where my great-grandparents and my grandfather's parents, my grandfather and my grandmother's ashes are interred there. So when we visit them, we get to visit the old church. And the church is, if you've never been to England, never been to, like, the types of cathedral-y little Anglican churches that they have in the villages, not cathedral-y, but it's the layout of the church that's specific. St. Luke's is like, identical to some of the little village churches in England. So it was kind of cool to go there and see that kind of stuff. And then my recent trip to England, I was like, oh my gosh, this little village thing is just like that little Anglican church. And they do all kinds of cool stuff. They have like once a year they teach how to clean gravestones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you've ever been to a cemetery that has like just dilapidated gravestones, they teach how to keep those.
There is an account, a woman on like Instagram, and that's what her account is. She goes around cleaning old tombstones.
Yeah, and it's surprising.
It's really soothing.
Yeah, it's
like,
little.
Watch it.
It's just kind of like little brushing the stone, like I mean, particularly when they were not made of like, I mean, I guess limestone and stuff. I don't know my
Sometimes
geology.
they're slate. They're like
yeah, and it's a softer stone, so just the weather erodes it, and yeah, I actually saw some people cleaning. Now this was like 13th century stone, but I saw people cleaning at the Abbey, one of the abbeys we went to in England, and they were down on their knees on those little like gardening mats, you know, those little foam mats. They're down on their knees, and they had like those little like little caddies that you do like maybe put your cleaning supplies into, you know, your house, and they had like all these different solutions and things and little brushes, and they were just there scrubbing like the moss and the algae and stuff off of these stones, and I was like, what a great day.
It's very like it always looks very like you just feel proud like of the work afterwards. You're like,
sure,
oh, it's really rewarding. Like,
it is. I think it's like knitting or stitching. It's just a little like monotonous sort of, and you let your mind wander, and yeah, it's soothing.
Yeah, so apparently I'm going to Nantucket for the quilts, stay for the cemeteries.
Right? Well, you gotta get the cemetery in now.
Just one more thing. I know, well, it does look like too like we have nice weather for it, so
yeah, that'll be good. Yeah. So not to change the subject, but since we're not really doing a whole lot of stitching today, I just have to show what I have been stitching this week. I need to get back on actual work for exhibits, but you guys know I've been making little guys, my little fox.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't it cute? I still have to sew a little button on his jacket, and then this is the best part. I still need to sew the button back here, but the pants have like a hole for his tail. So you put a little button there. So cute. This is Cynthia Treen. I think you could buy these on her Etsy, but the pattern, not the doll, but the pattern. And this is her book that came out a couple years ago, The Wind in the Willows. And she released this pattern. I think it's this and a frog prince. She released, I think, in 2012. And I bought them soon after and never made them. But she released this, I think, in 2022. So in 10 years, you can see like they're still constructed the same way, but she's kind of upped her game. Like she's you actually use like a little like acrylic paint to sort of make their faces look sort of furry. And like the mole, you use paint to make his snout pink. Just really cute. So Wind in the Willows is it's a very cute story.
So what have you named Foxy there?
Well, the pattern named him Felix.
But are you sticking with that name?
Sure.
He seems thrilled.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a Renard the fox is often like a fox name, but because I think Renard means fox in French. I don't know.
Oh.
And he's got pipe cleaners in his arms and legs, so he can.
So will he be joining the crew?
So I've been working on a little project. I work on it a little bit when, you know, I'm not working on things like this, which I'm working on when I'm not working on actual real necessary work. But this little side project I've been working on for a while. It's probably like a little miniatures display is what we'd call it, but it's gonna be kind of fun. I don't want to release too much info about it just because it's not coming along very fast, but it's a fun thing that I think people will think is cute, as cute as I think. So I will share it soon. But yes, he will feature in there. Yeah, so like 52-year-old women and their toys.
So like, what is his relation gonna be to Babraham?
You know, they're all friends. you know, in the miniature world, and if you guys, I mean, you guys know, if you watch my stream, I've been talking about and collecting and doing things with miniatures like really all my life, but sometimes I ramp it up because it's just in the public consciousness, and miniatures are having a moment. There's all kinds of companies that are doing tiny things now. Not, you know, they're just tiny things. People are just excited about tiny things. So I thought I'd ride that train for my hobbies.
I mean, fair enough.
See, the fox needs to borrow your nut.
No. But remember we were talking about things that hold thimbles, and I had been working on pricing things that hold thimbles.
Oh yes, we were going to talk about pricing today.
How stinking cute is this owl that holds a thimble?
That is stupid adorable. I love that. That is so cute.
And that's not all. Like, I had recently like got like one an auction lot that I have a ton of owls in.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen some other owl thing. Oh, that's interesting. Does that open or?
Nope.
Oh, it's just okay.
But he holds a thimble.
Okay.
Nope. And he also has a little friend.
And what is that made out of? Is it wood?
You know, I can't really say for sure.
Oh.
Someone mentioned bogwood. So I am not 100% sure. I also say that because I can't find a lot of comps for these online. I found like one.
Oh.
And they're not exactly the same. It's close.
Bogwood strikes me as something that's not from the US.
No, I want to say it's like Irish or something.
Yeah.
I forget. And there's no like marks on it or anything that I can tell. Here's another one. I think this might be the one that lives with me for a minute.
That one's pretty cool. Now, are their eyes also whatever the material is and have been painted, or are they something else, like an inlay or something?
No, there's something else. Let's see.
These are interesting. So this was from somebody's collection. They collected owl things, owl needlework tools.
So here's another one.
Very cool.
And his head comes off.
I mean, who loves an owl whose head not only spins all the way around, but the head comes off?
But you know, it's bananas. Like, it's just to hold a thimble. Like, you know, like, of all the things, like, I'm gonna have this huge thing on my desk just to hold a thimble.
And, you know, Cake needs a thing to hold her thimble. Because I lose my thimble all the time. I'll set it down. I'll think, I am setting this right beside my pincushion so that I won't lose it. And then an hour later, I'm like, where'd my thimble go? And it's like under me in the couch cushions. It's got little legs. It jumps off and...
Yeah.
So, you know, let's talk about pricing because we have a short time today. So, like, I sometimes don't even know. You know, I'll see things on eBay and I'll be like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I'll maybe do a little bit of research to see, like, is the price, like, is that the price? You know, and I do that kind of research, like, in terms of buying a thing. But, like, on the flip side of it, what do you do when you want to sell a thing? Oh, and Robin is telling us
Robin just looked up bogwood. Oh, I found another one.
Oh,
this one hangs on the wall. It's a bird.
Oh my goodness, that is cool.
Yeah, and it hangs on the wall. And there's your thimble.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that's got to be some kind of specialty hardwood if it's not bogwood. So
so a lot of times it's oh my. There is a wood. I'm having a brain fart.
So Robin says bogwood, also known as abonos, and especially among pipe smokers, as morta is a material from trees that have been buried in peat bogs and preserved from decay by the acidic and anaerobic bog conditions sometimes for hundreds or even thousands of years. Well, that's like the bog man. Then they find that
Mm-hmm.
buried
Mm-hmm.
person and he's a bazillion years old and they've done all kinds of interesting research on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. Well, and
Um,
there's a bunch of things like that. I know there's things that they get from coal, and then there's things that they get from oh gosh, what is that? It's what jet is made out of. Is it like the monkey wood or something? It's some kind of wood that I think is weird that would be in the British Isles, but that's what they made jet from. Bogwood may come
um,
from any tree species naturally growing near or in bogs, including oak, swamp cypress. Bogwood is often removed from fields and placed in clearance cairns. Yeah, monkey wood. Okay. Yeah, I think that monkey wood is the one that they make jet from. Um,
yeah, there's another type that I'm thinking of that I'm just not, like, my brain just like doesn't want to work. But
yeah. Tell me about pricing.
one thing, yeah, one thing that I have been working on pricing a lot of lately is Mocklin. And we've talked about Mocklin before. Um, for those that recall, I had from a estate sale had bought a big Mocklin hoard of like 70 different types of pieces, some sewing, some not. So I've got an overabundance of like,
The thread
these thread
boxes. Mm-hmm.
holders, um, that have these nice labels inside, and um a lot of these like smaller boxes. This
Souvenir
one is
boxes.
yeah, this one's velvet lined. Um, so like how am I gonna go about pricing all of this stuff? So let me see
Oh, monkey
here.
puzzle tray. So none of us remembered correctly. So I guess while you're pulling that up, I would say like if I were just gonna like maybe sell craft supplies and I go out and buy like a bunch of craft supplies, I mean, in today's, I mean, any of us that have worked in retail, like the goal is to buy something at wholesale, sell it at retail. So you buy something for $1, you sell it for $2. But when you buy a lot
Mhm.
of something, say the lot cost $100 and there are 10 items, are each of those items $10 and then you sell them for $20 a piece? Like that doesn't work out when you're talking about.
Like how do I decide how much something costs when I buy a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
lot?
because again, so like let's just pretend and say you paid $100 for that lot of Mocklin. I know that's not right, but 70 pieces, you paid $100. Well, you paid $7 a piece, but some of those items are probably going to be much rarer. Like I know there was a tartanware piece that was I think you've already sold. That was probably worth a lot more, and then maybe some of those other pieces are like, yeah, there's a million of them. Like it's not worth a whole lot.
So if I had like a small amount, like let's say it's a lot that had five things in it,
Mm-hmm.
then I might break up the cost differently for each item. But with this Mocklin lot, because it's like 70 pieces, I just divided it all evenly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So luckily, because of how many pieces and what I paid, the price per piece is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't necessarily have to worry about that so much. But let's just say, even if I do have some things that are worth a lot of money and some things that aren't, for me, it's not as cut and dry. And I would say in this business, it cannot be as cut and dry as you add this percent, you double this, you add this percent, and like that's the end of that. Because in some instances, that's just not going to work. I'm going to price myself out of selling.
Right.
So it's funny. I was actually having this conversation with another dealer friend of mine the other day. And it's one of those things where it's nice to have in your head that you want to make 3 to 5 times as much what you paid, but that can't always happen. It just can't. So on some pieces, I might make very little, and on other pieces, I might make a lot.
Mm-hmm. And so that's
So,
that's your margin, right? Like.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is like, so oftentimes people are going to tell you like, oh, well, you always have to make sure you have a set margin, and that's can't always work the same way
Right, yeah, per
here.
piece. And I guess there's
Yeah, 'cause
certain
there
things
might.
that you're willing to wiggle a little bit on, right? Like you kind of price in a way that allows you to say maybe give somebody a discount if they're a
Hmm.
regular customer or if the
Hmm.
situation calls for it.
Hmm. Yeah, because you're hoping that those people are going to buy from you in volume.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I that
So,
happens to you. I know some of your dealer friends that I'm also friends with will do special deals with you because you buy from them, larger amounts than one
mhm.
piece at a time. Yeah. So
Right. So
Janet
in that
Janet
moment,
has a
you become the
question.
wholesaler.
Do you set a
Hmm.
minimum overhead cost?
No, I can't. I just can't. So I'll give you an example in quilts, okay? So let's say there's a quilt out there that I get at an auction, that I know I can get, let's say, $600 for it. And I go in the auction, and obviously you go to an auction with the idea that you're going to try to pay as low as possible. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Sometimes you luck
Sometimes
out.
yeah, sometimes you can get that quote that you know the market can handle selling it at $600, and you get it for 50 because like nobody notices, people don't pay attention, and they don't know, they don't realize what it is. But let's say I do start a bidding war with someone, and let's say the price gets up to $300. And I know like, okay, well, in that quilt I'm only going to make double what I paid. There are other times when, people often say, since I do more than just quilts, smalls are what quote like pays your rent.
Hmm.
And I can't lie, like I'm doing very well selling smalls in my new booth. Some of them I'm gonna make 5 times what I paid for it. Others I might only make $10 on the item, but all those little items together add up.
Add up. Yeah.
And you kind of just always want to make sure, and it's not always possible. Sometimes you might have to take a loss on something. So like that's your goal is never to do that,
Right.
but sometimes you might have to do that.
Hmm.
So it's one of those like fluctuating things where you always have in your mind that like X is the goal. But if you're
Right.
not fluid, then you kind of almost like lock yourself out of the industry because you become too rigid
Right. Yeah.
in what you're trying to do, and then there's just not always going to be the kind of price point that supports that. So like every single quilt in my inventory, that's one reason why I keep this like massive Excel sheet. I always like, it's not, there are a few items here and there that like I did not keep, the receipt with or something, so I forget how much I paid for it. But 97% at least of my stuff, I know exactly what I paid for it.
Gotcha.
So I'm always at least trying to.
Well, Janet, kind of along that lines, Janet has a good question. Do you set an expiration date on an item and sell at a loss just to move it out of your inventory? I mean, I know that's a legitimate
At this
question. Some
moment,
sellers do.
so at this moment, no. Um, Now that I have a booth, I probably will do that. At least for, I probably would be more inclined first to just take it out,
Right.
because we got to think of like seasons and things like this.
Sure.
And what's in my booth is different from what I have online.
Mm-hmm.
So I might then swap
Do like a
things
swapsy,
and
yeah.
take something offline and put it in the booth and vice versa. Um, I have I've done that only so far with like two quilts. Um, because like for some weird reason I thought that would like make me feel like my inventory went down. Like it did nothing. Um, but I do know that there are a lot of people that do that because obviously it costs money for your inventory to sit. The only difference here is that I'm not paying for my inventory necessarily to sit. I have a booth now, so that will, but like people that have like
A brick and
rental
mortar.
space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rental space, or they rent like an office. Like there's been many times so far that I've been like, maybe I should get a separate space to really like set up, a photography area that always stays set up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I could put artificial, like, fancy lighting in there and like, so I would have to think a little bit differently
Sure.
about my inventory sitting around then.
Mm-hmm.
But I luckily don't have to think like that as much right now. Now, that being said, I have tens of thousands of dollars tied up in inventory.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about having a business is like, especially when it's you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing in goods and not services, like you do have to keep an
Mm-hmm.
inventory. And I think probably the most successful sellers have kind of an extensive inventory in some aspects. But something that
Well,
just really,
definitely some of the ones that we know have a very extensive inventory.
yes. Another thing that kind of occurred to me in terms of collecting versus buying for sale, I look at things that I collect and, I don't necessarily, well, I do necessarily have like a cutoff point for some things. Like I will never pay more than X number of dollars for, a vintage toy or a needlework. I mean, I just kind of have it in my head. And over the years, that has increased as disposable income has changed. But, I look at it as I'm willing to pay more than even if I know the market value, if I'm in a bidding war, or if I'm just like, I will never
Mm-hmm.
see another one at this pristine condition or whatever, this version,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I will go ahead and pay that much because I'm a collector.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really thinking about the aspect of like, well, maybe one day I might want to get rid of this. Like, that just doesn't. There are probably collectors that think that way, but I don't. Whereas
Oh, mm-hmm.
if you're buying for the purpose of turning the item over, like you got to back into that. You got to think like I need to make this much money on this thing to make it worth my while. Or maybe you already know a collector and you think to yourself, I know this collector will pay me this much for this item, so I need to buy it at, I mean, I'm assuming you're probably willing to make less of a profit when you've got a customer that is generally willing to buy from you versus.
Yes. Yep. So for those kinds of scenarios, um, there are times I make nothing, absolutely nothing on the transaction, but I'm still willing to take the time and tie my money up in the transaction because that's going to keep that customer coming back and buying from me. So that's playing the long game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Well,
And then even still, I mean, I do that too for my friends that
yeah, I
are
was about to say, I'm like,
collectors. When
I
I'm
may
like, oh, here's the thing that I know they want. Like,
I may have been the beneficiary of a couple of sunbonnet suits at cost.
so well, to be fair, I mean, let's make sure that we're displaying that accurately. And the reason for that is you were providing me a service. You were providing labor.
Yeah.
And you were picking up auction quilts for me nearby. And when I say nearby, it was still like an hour away, wasn't it? So yes, that felt like a fair trade. And that cost was low.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it was just like that was a finder's fee. I paid your finder's fee in labor, and then I got some quilts at cost.
no, and that's, I mean, I will say, guys, if you have the chance to be friends with a dealer, there are some benefits
Yes.
to being friends with a dealer. I will say too that another benefit that Steph that you tend to get is you often get to see things that I get before anyone else does.
Well, I mean, there is a specific instance that we're talking about here. When I picked up auction goods for you and then brought them to you like a week later, I had already taken things out and told you, you're not getting these because they're mine. What do you want for them?
She's not even being well, and she's not even being totally honest. It was more so, I have removed these items. Is that okay? Can I have them? Like, are you not? Because I could easily turn around and be like, no, honey, that's the one I was selling for $600. You can't have that one. But that being said, I do recall in that auction, you were watching it with me, and I do recall saying, Steph, do you want me to bid on this?
Yeah, there was one, definitely one like that. Yeah, and I think I managed to finagle a second one. It's good to know people. It's good to know people in the business when you want to collect stuff.
Yes. Well, and then that was around I think you delivered those quilts to me when we met up in Pennsylvania with your
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Mm-hmm.
and you were going out and doing and sourcing with me,
Mm-hmm.
um, and getting to see, the processing of the piles, um, that happens. But yes, Stephanie has stolen more than one item from the rest of you guys before you even got to see it, because she just decided that she was going to have it, including things from this Mocklin hoard.
Well,
That
okay, let's remember that one thing from the Mocklin Horde was a birthday gift to me, and quilts I did pay you for, so let's not call it stealing.
But
So,
you stole the opportunity
yes, I
from
did steal the
other
opportunity.
people to see these things.
Bad cake.
Um, yeah. So yeah, guys, make friends with the dealer. We only have a
Yeah,
few
we only have a
minutes.
few minutes, so talk to me about
So
research. Talk about the research.
yeah, so you can see here, I've got all these kinds of recently viewed. So if I've got here, so let's just take this, like this will just be easy. Like this is a thread box, right? So I would just kind of, and I know some of you already know how to do this, but I would just kind of type in here a general thing. You might have to get more as you go. Oh, Stephanie, here's one of those weird ones I was telling you about. Just to sidetrack for a minute here. Remember I told you there's some finishes that you and I hadn't even
Oh
seen anywhere yet?
yeah,
This is one
okay.
of them.
Oh, and what
Yeah.
is this called? Do you know what the?
Do they have this one? No. Oh,
That one almost looks like
I
it's wrapped in trim
here's
or something.
here's more research.
Okay,
Um,
so
I would
the
I
books that have been published, price guides, right?
This is not a price guide.
It's just a type of Mocklin guide. A collector's guide, maybe? Like,
Yeah.
what do you call those when it's not really pricing, but just like every piece of Mocklin they ever made?
This is literally, yeah, this is literally called a collector's guide.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's see. Hold on. So this finish. Do, do, do.
So while you're looking
And
for
there,
that, I guess a collector's guide, while it may not give you pricing, would it give you information on like how rare something is?
yes and no. So they do have something about pricing in here, and they have like tiers,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the tier for pricing is based somewhat on rarity. But you also have to remember that like it's really not it's only taking in the current market at that time.
Sure.
And the market's constantly changing. So a lot of these pieces don't necessarily they're not as valuable as they were, say, 10 years ago.
Okay.
And
So that's another good
I
thing to know.
know, yeah, I do know that like some people that had bought, 10 years ago are pretty upset about that. But I mean, it's the nature of anything. Because some people that I'm dealing with that are selling their collections now are really upset that the
Yeah.
market's not the same. Okay, so
Yeah, I
this
know
is
we've talked to some friends that
this is checkerware.
checkerware.
And
Okay.
check is spelled CHEQUER.
Okay. Like the exchequer, which is like the oh, that's pretty. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen that before.
No, there's a million different finishes in here that we've never seen. I think we'll probably see that chintz one I told you about too. But anywho,
Oh,
okay.
that's right. I forgot about
So go
that.
back here because I've just got a few minutes before I have to skedaddle here. So I've typed in Mocklin thread box, and you're getting obviously the active listings here,
Mm-hmm.
which don't discount those. A lot of people say like, oh, you can only go by things that have sold, not things that are listed. That's not always true. But anyways, the first thing I always check down here on the side is sold items. Sometimes I'm gonna get stuff. Sometimes I'm not gonna get anything. So here we've got a list of sold items. Some of them, like this is a tartanware. Not the same. I can't price that. I can't price this based off tartanware. It's a different finish.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to see like that's not even the kind of thread box I'm looking at. That's an egg, more tartanware. This is closer
Mm-hmm.
to what I was looking at. Some of these have nothing to do with anything I just searched. So depending on, this is closer.
Mm-hmm.
But that one looks like it's got some issues. Mine doesn't.
Oh, I
So I
just saw that
start.
tartan wear thread ball. Oh my gosh.
Mhm. I've never seen a tartan thread ball. Um, so depending on what happens in the sold prices, I might get good comps for my item, I might not. So let's say I can't get any comps for my item in the sold prices. What I tend to do then, and I also might just do a generalized Google search and hit the shopping tab and get a whole different, like
Gotcha.
Etsy and all those different places. It's just eBay is a good place to tend to start.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if I can't find anything in the sold, I come back to here, and let's say, let's like this one is kind of similar to what I've got, but not really. This one's probably a lot closer. Let's say there's a number, this one, look, this one has kitties. Um,
Oh, that is cute. Oh, and
yeah.
it's
If
rare.
there's if there's a bunch of different, like this is very close to what I've got. If there's a bunch of different ones on here that are active, and let's say the prices vary. Let's say I've got one, I'll generally take a group, let's say 5 of them. And let's say I've got one that's low, I've got some that are mid, and I've got one that's really high. I'll take all 5 and I'll take the average of that price.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I knew there was an
Yeah.
item that you were looking at recently that you were frustrated by, and you kind of gave up for a minute because you found it at like absurdly cheap and also like absurdly expensive. So like $50 to 600,
Mhm.
and like there's no way to do like
Yep.
a, you know. So do you just kind
Yep.
of, I mean, in those cases, it's almost just like pick a number that you think you
Yep.
can sell it at, because otherwise
Yep.
it's just going to make you crazy.
Yeah, it'll just be a series of um start here and go down. Now that particular item, it was that was the one that was the scallop Avery needle case, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So let me find one here so that people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and Avery is very collectible. They're those brass needle
Mhm.
cases.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so notice how like one doesn't even come up. All these needle cases. I've got one of these in my booth. Um, Come on. I know there is one.
Did somebody
Like,
finally buy it? Oh
let
my
me go to
gosh,
the
all of
sold.
the Avery.
Actually,
There's oh my gosh, I just saw one of the butterflies for what
mhm.
$5,999.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, there's one. So I sold mine for 200.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had listed it in my booth at 225 and I offered a $25 discount.
Gotcha. And it's occurring to me that I didn't even think about is, so you not only have like, I mean, you're almost kind of have to like, you're going down in order of all these things. So there's like, it's okay, antique brass pincushion, but it's an Avery, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
scallop versus one of the other ones. And then there's the
Mm-hmm.
condition, and then there's what
Mm-hmm.
the market can bear. So yeah, you have a lot of
Yeah.
layers. And I guess what I would say, just in terms of as a business person, as a seller, you, I mean, I know you kind of established that it's hard, you can't factor in an overhead, but you think about the fact that you might spend hours doing this kind of research. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's labor you're probably never going to recoup in terms of, I mean, I realize that you sometimes have like you get something that, at an incredible price, and it is very highly valued. And I mean, I know you've got some collector friends that are like, don't show that to anybody else, it is mine, I will pay you whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want for it because it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
know like those kind of opportunities tend to be few and far between. So
So, not right now. We are in a season where a lot of collectors from, the 70s, 80s, 90s and beyond, they're downsizing, or
sure.
sadly they're dying.
Hmm.
And their collections are going to auction, or they're at a point where they're selling them off themselves quickly. I
Uh-huh.
I have someone I'm talking to right now that's moving out of the country and needs to sell very
Yeah,
fast.
because of her
Um,
plans. Yeah.
right. So like you can get
Hmm.
really, really good quote deals.
Mm-hmm.
on that. And the only reason it becomes a deal, if you're not a collector, is if you're willing to spend the time to do things. I don't normally have to price things in bulk like I'm doing right now for my booth. Normally I could just price them as I'm putting them online, and it's a lot less of a heavy lift.
Sure.
It's a heavier lift in this moment. But also it's one of those, like, once you really start to get into the weeds about the market of what you're selling, that's one thing. The thing with the Mocklin is there's so many pieces I ended up with that have nothing to do with sewing because I
Yeah.
had to buy the
Right.
lot as a whole. I really have to research some of those because I just don't know anything about some of them. I don't even know what they are.
Like the
Like,
Mocklin covered book and the weird bud vase. Like those are the
yeah,
ones that fascinate me. And I'm like,
yeah.
who would ever want those things? Like just other than as a
And I
collection.
can't, and I cannot find another item that's that book online. I
So
can find
either
other
it is
books.
just outrageously rare and worth a lot, or it is worth absolutely nothing because nobody wants it. It's not even a good book.
Yeah, I'll probably have to consult a book dealer, honestly,
Yeah, that's
because
what I was
I
thinking.
can't
Like,
find
yeah, a
another
rare
one.
book dealer or something might have a better idea of like what the
Mm-hmm.
market can bear on that. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. You know, I mean, as much as I knew about retailing and that kind of thing, like I think you kind of have given me some things to think about in terms of really what you go through to price these things and get them out into the world. It's a little more complicated than just
Yes.
buying at wholesale and selling at retail.
Yeah, so it's funny. I do tell some people, like, everyone always has those good intentions of like, oh, I'm gonna sell all this stuff, and it's like, really, you really have to have an honest conversation with yourself about,
Yeah,
like, am I really gonna like take the time and effort and energy to sell this, or does it just sound nice?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I get it. So that's why I have a huge collection and I sell very few pieces of anything.
hmm
I do have a shop, guys. Did you know that? The slow sewing shop is something that exists.
yeah, and you've got some cute things on there. You should like stick your thing of yours
Yeah,
out
you know,
there.
I do need to do that. And that's kind of part of this like weird little project I have going on. It's again, it's something I've been doing so slowly and like just chipping away at, and I really need to maybe kind of like ramp it up because I have a slow sewing shop Instagram account in case anybody, I mean,
hmm
just slow sewing shop. I have not posted anything and I don't know when, so bad cake. So, heading into the holidays is a great time if you have an Etsy shop or a little Shopify shop to put some effort into getting it
hmm
out there. I'm speaking to myself
hmm
right now. So, well, I see it as a couple minutes after 3, and I bet you need to haul butt.
Someone has just come into the room to be like, come on.
All right, Sunday, we're wrapping up. Well, that was fun.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my little, like, here is how I price things.
Yeah, that was really
And
interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
I'll have to give an update later on the owls. But if you guys
Yeah.
feel like you need more time and there wasn't enough chicken sandwich talk and stuff, go back and watch some of the older ones where sometimes we end up going even
Three
longer than 3
hours of
hours.
chicken sandwiches, you guys, if you haven't seen them.
Yeah. And I will share lots of photos and things, probably our next Stitch and Glitch.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be cool. So,
Yep.
goodbye to Jill. I will finish up by saying, my stream on Monday, business as usual. Tuesday, we will not be at our normal time, 7 p.m. live. We will actually be putting out a pre-recorded video. So look for that. It'll drop at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday.
hmm
And it is a part 1. So you definitely want to watch it because we're going to do part 2 live the following week on my birthday.
hmm Yeah. Oh my God, we gotta get hats.
And those
All right,
little
guys. The kazoos. All right.
bye guys.